Hello, and thank you for tuning into the
Mobility
Mobility
Bros!
Bros. I am Coach Cliff, and I am here with my fantastic, awesome, amazing brother, Ron, who is the host of the show with me. And we're going to be touching topics that we always discuss during the show. One or many of these topics usually gets discussed. We're talking athletic mindset, mobility, pain reduction, the thoughts and processes of practitioners, and the mindset of our clients and members. And today we have a fantastic, amazing guest, Mr. Erich Steinmetz. He's going to be talking to us about physiotherapy, and the levels and trends that are happening right now with high-level athletes. And honestly, really across the board, if you're a personal trainer, all you're doing is corrective exercise? Are you missing out on so many other things that can help with mobility and form and control and fast twitch and slow twitch fibers and all of the things? Please stay tuned to understand what we're talking about and learn a lot more, because you're going to get a lot of value if you stay to the very end of this show. Eric's going to share to us how being a one-trick pony is going out the window in 2023 for a health practitioner. And I'm excited to share, and he's excited to share the universities he's working with, all the things he's doing to disrupt things, to enable us to be better practitioners for the people that we are connecting with, and also for them to be better athletes, to be more mobile, to be more stable, to be better in their human bodies. So, Eric, how are you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. I'm really pleased to be here. Thanks for inviting me onto your show. It's really humbling.
Well, we are humbled to have you. We are
Very
honored to
humble to have
have
you.
you. Ron, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing awesome, man. I say we're doing a creature double feature today, man. We filmed this morning, and we're getting after it today with this amazing guest. I've had the opportunity to work with Eric at the Olympic trials, and then he was a lead for the outdoor national championships last year, and he was freaking awesome. He freaking crushed it. He ran a team the team was actually smaller than it was for the trials, but it was awesome. We had a great time. We kicked it. Had some voodoo donuts after, man.
Yeah, voodoo donuts.
I need to
So
know more about these voodoo donuts, but we're gonna get to that at the very end. So, Ron,
maybe I should be talking about voodoo donuts on a health and wellness and functional movement show.
everything is in balance, man. Everything is in
Uh-huh.
balance. No one's saying all you eat is voodoo donuts, right?
Mhm.
So you guys know each other from the Olympic trials. I know you've met with each other and you've built a relationship. You guys, Ron, tell me a little bit more about Eric, and share with me what you think the value add is, because
Yeah,
there's so much here.
So Eric is a licensed massage therapist, and he's also an athletic trainer, very knowledgeable, and I was very honored to see him at work. I saw him doing some taping and wrapping with the ankles of some of the athletes. Eric has worked with at the trials. He has also been he's done a rotation, 2-week rotation at the Olympic Training Center. He's been to Israel, China. He's been like he's like the ATC global man. He's like all over the world. But he has this vast background working with college universities and developing a soft tissue program with the university with S was it what
Western states.
yeah UWS, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
UWS. And then me personally, I felt like we got to know each other better more when he asked me. And listen, I am honored and grateful that you reached out to me. I know I said that, to be a part of your team for the national championships. I was kind of stressing because I wanted to go to the Worlds, but you asked me to come out. I was like, yes, I'm coming. I will be there. I will be on that plane.
hmm
And it was great, man. The weather was amazing for that whole week. A lot of athletes. We brought value. I did my first my first TikTok with she was a silver medalist for the shot put. What's her name? I can't think of her name right now. But she asked me to be on her TikTok, and I was like, I've never been on a TikTok before. And so I was on her TikTok. So yeah, we had a great time out there. and we just we really did bring some value out there with all the athletes.
Is that Raven?
Yeah, Raven. Yeah, Raven.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 So
And she
Eric,
came up to me. She was like, "Hey, you want to be my TikTok?" I was like, yeah." She had like Hulk all braided in her hair. It's all great, you know. So yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
sounds like you
Raven's
guys
a
had an
character.
amazing experience. Eric, tell me a little bit more about yourself and share with us a little bit about the thoughts that you're talking about, the trends of high level athletes and what you see coming with all your experience.
So I've been a massage therapist since May of 2000, so we're coming up on 23 years.
Congratulations.
And I've been a certified athletic trainer since 2018. So, um, having worked 3 different track and field Olympic trials and 2 outdoor championships and the Prefontaine Classic uh, for the past 10 years, you really have a great opportunity to meet a lot of other high level practitioners and see what they're doing and learn from them. And you also get to observe um, what services the athletes are wanting when they're at these events. So, this is like elite track and field. Um, these are athletes that are very experienced. They know what their body needs, they know what they want, and they know who to get it from. And so when you're paying attention to what's going on around you, you actually pick up on quite a bit in these environments because you're usually in, like a hotel room, one of their like event spaces. They just clear it out and let us set up our treatment tables and our desk and our equipment, and then you just go to town. And if you're not working on an athlete, then you're usually talking to one of your peers or you're watching somebody else work. And so you're kind of learning from observation in that way. So one of the things that I'm learning is that um, soft tissue and chiropractic are the 2 most commonly requested services that these athletes are looking for when they come to these events. And if you're not picking up what they're putting down, you're going to get left behind, and you're going to be having a skill set that was, relevant maybe 10 years ago, but it's not so much in demand right now. So you've got to be willing to evolve and adapt, as the demands of the athlete change as well. So those are some of my key takeaways from working these big events. Some of my key observations there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's awesome.
fantastic. It really is.
So
Um,
an example of that is my very first Olympic trials I worked was 2012. And when I got there, I saw that everybody had a tool set and most everybody there knew how to do KT tape and cupping, and I hadn't learned those things yet. And so I felt like the most inadequate, unprepared therapist there. So that was a very big swift kick in the rear end for me to get on the learning curve and get caught up. And so it took me about 2 or 3 years to get caught up. But by 2015, I was using the fat tools really well. I knew how to tape. I felt like I could hold my own. And then I knew which chiropractors to refer athletes to, depending on what I felt they needed at these events. And so I was also starting to learn what other people were doing and what they were good at and how they approached their work. So it's just one, giant learning phase since 2012 for me. So,
that's awesome. I found out what was mind blowing for me, Eric, when I went the first time I went to Olympic trials, seeing chiropractors actually doing soft tissue work. Now I work in a
yeah.
chiropractic office,
Hmm.
and I was mind blown. And there's a couple of chiropractors that actually did soft tissue work and some neurological response work.
Hmm.
And I was like, what the frick are they doing? It was
Hmm.
just, it was like,
Hmm.
I was
Yeah.
just mind blown,
Yeah.
and that really leads into what you're saying about that cross, everyone can't be a one trick pony. It's like they're really like, and they're really flowing into
Hmm.
that the hybrid blend of, okay, we do need to know more, not just stay in this one lane.
Hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I also recognize that, when I started in my field, uh, because I was blessed with going straight with the National Academy of Sports Medicine certifications and coming off of exercise science and sports medicine at college, uh, the first thing they introduced was like, this system of stability, strength, and power. And how in the stability phase, it was all about soft tissue, and they introduced foam rolling and muscle manipulation. And I really like that connected with me really tightly. I understood that if someone has the lack of mobility, they're not going to be able to go as deep in their squats. Their fast and slow twitch fibers are going to respond slowly or less adequately. And if we can get the body awareness there, if we can get the mobility there, if we can do multiple things in that corrective exercise phase, then the strength phase and the power phase is just going to be that much more efficient. And for when I think about high level athletes, like you guys have been exposed to these Olympians, I hope you give me a call because I'm down to come through. I'm telling you, I'll practice KT tape on you guys in the hotel all night if I have to show you I'm ready. But like, the excitement is, I feel since I got that certification in 2005, and I was in a very small boutique fitness facility, and I had a really great mentor. Um, I feel like I was able to really catch on to not just writing a program down for someone and starting the exercises, but taking them back to understanding what mobility means, doing assessments to see where their calf and their arms and their legs and their core strength was and their core flexibility was and everything like that, and integrating it immediately into their program. I had a client that I literally had on the table for 45 minutes, and I was stressed out because younger, less experience compared to having 20 plus years now. I was worried I was doing them a disservice, but I knew that if I moved into something too quickly, they'd get spasms and it'd be done. They'd be done. So I said to myself, if they trust me and I could give them the information, honest and integriously, hey, this is why we're on the table. We really got to work on mobility. Your scapula, subscapular, just the muscles around your lats are just spazzing like crazy. Your back is like shot. But if we can get through this phase and we can build mobility in your erector spinae and all those fun words we use, but real muscles, then when it's time to do a bench, when it's time to do a row, when it's time to pull overhead, you're going to be able to do that. And it took us a year to be able to do some of the most simplistic movements that people see all over their TikToks and their social media. But for this man, as he was aging, it was so valuable because now he's been a client for 7+ years. He's doing deadlifts. He's balancing on a box with one leg while curling and doing all the different things. And in the beginning, he barely could ride his bike for 15 minutes. What an amazing change that is. So to know that that's where the industry is going is really exciting for me. What are some of the things that you think would be the number one or number two things if someone is stuck in like a frame that they should start to break that frame so that they can increase their value?
Well, the first thing they have to do is recognize they are stuck in a frame and shed any pride that's keeping them there.
Mm.
That's the first thing that has to happen. You're not going to learn if you don't feel like you need to learn. So that's the mindset of the therapist. Every good therapist always feels like this nagging sensation in the back of their head, like I feel like I need to learn more.
Yeah.
But once you've overcome that mental block, then I would say, do a quick survey of the things that you feel like you're good at, and then the things that are similar to it that you can go and learn. And so that way it's not such a big step because, the difference between like massage therapy and taping, there's, if you were to take these circles and make like a Venn diagram and you see where the overlap is, then you just make a quick lateral step into a skill set that has some overlap with what you already know. And that way it's not such a big chore to learn a new skill set because you can already relate it to something that you know in the first place. So it makes it easier to learn that way. And maybe brush up on your fundamental knowledge too, like nervous system. How does the nervous system interact with our muscles? How do our joints and ligaments communicate to our nervous system about proprioception. And then once you get into like learning about KT tape, you guys talked about this on a previous I actually watched that episode to kind of prime myself. You know, how does applying KT tape to the skin going to affect the nervous system? Well, if you already know about the components of how the nervous system creates movement and how the nervous system deals with pain, then it's not too big of a step to start learning about KT tape and seeing how KT tape affects the nervous system in that way. Or if you know your cardiovascular and your lymphatic system, then why not learn about some really simple, like fluid-based, massage techniques like effleurage and lymphatic drainage, and understanding how that works. So that would be the answer to your questions. Get over yourself and then learn something that has some overlap with what you already know, so that it's not so intimidating to go and add another tool to your tool belt.
I just want to acknowledge what you said there, because I think it's really important to recognize that a lot of us, or a lot of practitioners, can have overbearing ego, where it's like they just feel this sense of, like, because they've worked so much with people, that they may be stuck knowing it. So if they are stuck knowing it, getting over yourself, breaking that ego and significance in order to get the learning is so valuable. And I think the other point that you mentioned with, hey, you don't have to go completely out of your sphere, but find something that's going to connect you, find something that you can bridge, find something that's meaningful and easier because it's a part of what you do, and there's just more information to take that easier step into learning. I think that was awesome answers. Ron, you have any questions?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the program that you're developing for is it UWS, right? Correct? Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, the soft tissue program.
So it's not a program so much, it's just a course.
Okay.
And so University of Western States, their flagship program is their chiropractic, Doctor of Chiropractic. But once you get about halfway through that program, students can opt then to dovetail on, say, a master's degree. And so one of the master's degrees that they can pick is the sports medicine program.
Oh, wow, okay.
So then they're taking two parallel tracks. They're pursuing chiropractic and this master's degree at the same time. And so the new program director, with the revisions he's making to the sports medicine program, he's adding in electives that the students can take to kind of like round out or augment certain subjects that they're curious about. So in this case, this is an elective course. It's not a mandatory course as part of the program. So the students that are taking this course actually want to be in that course because they're picking it as an elective.
Oh, wow.
So it's a small course. It's only 2 credits. But the way I'm designing it is like a really sort of like an elevated version of a survey course, where we hit upon, the most used soft tissue techniques. Then I talk about which conditions are these techniques useful for, and what's the physiology behind, like the development of a trigger point, and then the physiology of how trigger point release actually works. So I'm not just showing them what to do, but I'm trying to explain to them what's going on in the body that led up to that certain condition, and then what's going on in the body when they actually apply the technique. Because these are, chiropractic students, these are essentially like med students. And so if they're not up on their physiology, then, if somebody asks them, so what are you doing and why are you doing it? If they're not able to answer that question, then they're going to lose some credibility and some trust with their patient that they're working on.
Right.
So for me, I've always been a big believer that if you can't back up what you're doing or justify what you're doing with like a sound explanation that, calls back to the physiology of the body, then you really have no business trying to do that. So you need to go and brush up on your A&P in order to do these techniques. And but this course overall, it's a 10-week long course. There'll be practicing a variety of techniques like lymphatic drainage, muscle energy, trigger point, muscle stripping, stretching. And then what I'm going to have them do is think about, well, okay, well, now that we have these techniques, how are you going to combine these soft tissue techniques with each other? And then how can you also use this to enhance your chiropractic therapies also? Because if you try to adjust somebody's neck and all the muscles around the neck and the upper shoulder are all tight, you may or may not be able to get those vertebrae to move. So maybe let's address some of the tension that's in the muscle first,
And
and
then
then go
adjust.
for the adjustment.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I've been
and
saying that for so long that I'm so glad
well,
someone said it. I'm so
well,
glad.
Cliff, it's not just you. It's like if you do a study of some of the thoughts of the osteopathic community back in the 40s, those guys back then were saying it back in the 1940s and
Oh, wow.
50s. Yeah.
What?
So it's not, it just seems like it makes more sense now, but I think one of the things that has kind of kept these ideas from getting spread around too much is like the polarization of the different professions. They don't really talk to each other that much.
Everyone
And
cut off.
then this is why I think that being a one-trick pony is it's not good. It's going to be a detriment to somebody at some point.
Yeah.
So in order to understand, physiotherapy as a whole, you got to say, what do the osteopaths think? What do the chiropractors think? What do the PTs think? What does strength and conditioning think? What does massage therapy, soft tissue think? And you got to like amalgamate all these different concepts and then form them into one cohesive, like gigantic ball of knowledge and wisdom. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to run into a roadblock. You're going to plateau in progress with a patient, and then you have a choice. It's either like you keep stubbornly doing the same thing, expecting a different result, which is the definition of insanity, or or you have to be willing to shed your ego and refer them to somebody else. But if you're not talking to anybody else, then you can't really refer out to anybody else.
Right, right, right.
I love that. Speaking of the client that I've been working with for 7 years, I've been in the PT office, and in that PT office, we connected with a practitioner, and I was like, I think you should connect with her. I have a really good feeling about this practitioner, and I think we're going to learn more about what we've done. We've done so much. We've used FMS, we've done all sorts of things, but this practitioner, she's a PT, and there's going to be some enlightenment that you're going to get. And so now we're creating what I've always wanted to create, which is a client-centered business where the PT, the massage therapist, the personal trainer, the athletic trainer, the acupuncturist, all of us, Eastern and Western medicine, that our whole goal is to help a human being in their body, in their mind, and in their spirit connect. And that client knows that we're in a communication, we can share, so that insight could be our foresight, right? If
Yeah,
we
all
have
talking
insight
together.
because we're communicating and all building this relationship together, then she's going to find something that I could now add into the workout that's going to help increase whatever the weak muscle is, or the muscle that's not firing. We're going to be sharing conversations about Golgi tendon organs and how that's a big important thing for the body to release things. And it's just going to be a more detailed, more informative, more educational conversation, and we all benefit, because now I'm learning stuff that this PT person paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for, and she's going to learn stuff that she may not have thought of because I paid thousands and dollars for this, and it just allows us to all benefit from each other. So I think what you're doing is fantastic and phenomenal, and it's overdue, like you said, that we get into this mindset. And hopefully, I truly believe going into 2023, 24, some of these egos and significance are going to shed, because some of the older people who had control, and also the way marketing has become, where, this lane is for this business and this lane is shedding. And we're starting to realize that a cohesive, cooperative business is really the best business for the health and wellness practitioner versus this competitive, like scarce mindset. I need to hoard my clients. They're humans, they're people. And the more we can help people, the more impact we'll have. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
Go ahead, Ron. I know you want to say something.
No, that's it, man. We have like a minute left on the clock, so we probably should just go ahead and wrap it up. And I definitely appreciate you, Eric, for coming on. And so I'm just gonna close it out. I want you to stay awesome, keep stepping in greatness, and be legendary. Have the most legendary day, and take care.
Thank you. Have a legendary day, Eric. Thank you so much for being here. It has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Cliff. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. It was fun.
Looking forward to having more of these. Goodbye, everybody. Leave some comments in the chat. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Please like and share with your friends. Look into the description for any information that you're looking for. Thank you so much. We're out.
Yeah, take care.